So in my previous class, I have showed you how to create a static NAT and how you can configure it using GNS3. And I have told you how to install GNS3 and how we can add the images, dynamic images, as I have even sent you one image, right?
Yes.
iOS image. So today we're gonna go through the DynamicNAT. What is DynamicNAT and how we can implement it? We are going to learn it in the first session of today's class. So first of all, let's go through the introduction part, or you can say the basic description of this DynamicNAT. So what is it and what's the difference between static NAT and DynamicNAT? So if you talk about DynamicNAT, unlike with static NAT, where you have to manually define a static mapping between a private and public address, DynamicNAT does not, or you can say does the same, or does the mapping of a local address to a global address dynamically. It's simply a static IP and dynamic IP. So if you talk about static, that means it has mapped it to one particular IP address, has been mapped to one particular public IP address. But DynamicNAT does the mapping of a local address to a global address dynamically. So this means that the router dynamically picks up an IP address. It's just like we have a pool in a DHCP server. When you assign an IP, one is configuring manually on each particular computer like we did. In the same way, the concept is same over here also. When you talk about static IP and dynamic IP, static is going manually to each device and configuring that. Dynamic means we will have a pool and we will just send it to every local area computer. They will automatically send the request. There is a process called DORA, which will happen up, and then every computer will receive the IP address. In the same way, dynamic is going to assign or allow a device to pick up a global IP address from a pool of IP addresses, from a pool of public IP addresses, not the private IP addresses. So the dynamic entry says in the NAT translations table, as long as traffic is exchanges. So the dynamic entry stays in the NAT translation table as long as the traffic is exchanged. The entry times out after a period of inactivity, and the global IP addresses can be used for new translations. Suppose that, what is it all about? When you will send a request, suppose that we have a PC A and it sends a request to access Facebook server. When it reaches to the router, to the gateway, it picks up a public IP. That's the particular entry. So when that entry will be stopped, it remains there for a particular time. After that, that entry will be deleted automatically so that other device can also be able to access that particular public IP address. Are you understanding?
Yeah.
So we can say, unlike static NAT, where you have to manually define a static mapping between a private and public address. DynamicNAT does the mapping of a local address to a global address dynamically. What do you mean by it? This means that the router dynamically CALLY picks up an address from the global address pool that's not currently assigned, which is not assigned to any particular host. The dynamic entry stays in the NAT table, or you can say NAT translations table, as long as the traffic is exchanged, or as long as that public is helping that device to exchange the data or traffic exchanged. When it's going to stop the traffic, that means it will just remove it. So that will, after a period of time or inactivity, the global IP address can be used for new translations. So with DynamicNAT, you need to specify two sets of addresses on your Cisco router. How do we configure? So with DynamicNAT, we need to specify two sets of addresses on your or on our Cisco router. So first point is the inside addresses. What are the inside addresses? Inside means local area network addresses that will be translated. We need to specify that on a router and a pool of global IP addresses. Global IP addresses. Those are used by inside addresses to get translated into public IPs. So to configure DynamicNAT, steps are, here we need to have the access list also. So first point is we need to configure the routers inside interface, First thing is you need to remember, so in order to configure the dynamic network address translation, first step is we need to configure the routers inside interface using, using the command, or you can say using the IP NAT inside. On interface, like we have the local area network interface over there, we need to assign it to IP inside, IPNAT inside command. This is the command that we need to use, IPNAT inside, bold it, that's the command, which will help us to configure the routers inside interface. Second thing is you need to configure the routers outside, through which you can say outside interface, through which the traffic will be sent out. Interface using the same, but instead of inside, we have to use outside command. So outside interface using the IPNAT outside command. COMMAND. So IPNAT outside command, through which we are going to send the traffic out. So configure the routers outside. It's 2 times, so delete. Third step is you need to configure an ACL, access control list, that has a list of the inside source IP addresses. that will be translated. What do you mean by it? We need to create an ACL list, which will have all the local area network IP addresses within it, which are permitted. Are you understanding? So that's very important. We need to create an ACL list, which will create a list of IP addresses for permission or deny. It's up to you. Then we have to configure a pool of public IPs, pool of global, or you can say public IP addresses using the, what's the command? Using the IPNAT pool name first IP address, then the range, so last IP address. For example, if you have 159.16.11.1, so 11.234 at last, you have up to 10. That means at last 11.10. It's up to you how many IP addresses or what's the range of IP addresses that you want to use. IP address with net mask subnet mask command. So this is the command that we need to use. IPNAT up to here. This is how do we create a pool, okay? And at last we need to enable dynamic NAT with the IPNAT inside source list ACL number, which one you have created, pool name. You need to link it with the access list, global configuration mode. Enable DynamicNAT with IPNAT inside ACL number with the pool name. So a pool name will be linked to the IP addresses. Suppose that we have a list of IP addresses, a number of those, and the pool name is that we have added here. That's it. With this, we will be very accurately able to, hopefully we'll be able to configure or implement our NAT. So these are the 5 steps which we have to go through in order to use the dynamic NAT. Are you ready to go with it?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go ahead. Let me take the attendance first. Okay, we have GNS3 here. I'm gonna open it. I hope you remember the things, right? How to add the iOS images.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you need to wait here because until and unless here the server name will not be here, you do not have to create any project. So you can see connecting to server localhost on port this. Here we should have, you can see now the computer name, the CPU usage and RAM. So now I am going to create a new project and I will say it as DynamicNAT. Okay. Even you can do it in Cisco Packet Tracer if you feel it very complex by GNS3. So the DynamicNAT, and I'm gonna click on OK. That's it. And then we have already added some devices in my previous class. If you do not have, you can go to new template, install an appliance from DNS server recommended. If it's added, then you have to, but if you have any manual template, you can enter that manually, okay? So, but we have already one. I'm gonna use the same one. So what will we do? We will take a router here, a gateway router, then I will take a VPCS or 2 VPCS devices, and then I will take Ethernet switch here, 1, 2, and also another switch here, and I don't have any server here. Suppose that it's a public server. So where can I get it? NAT cloud. A linked cloud here. There is a switch, and then suppose that I'm going to take another VPS device. Suppose this is, I can change, this is just a public server. Call it as a public server, okay? First of all, let's go through the configuration part, I mean aiding the there is only one port. What are you doing? There is only one interface on it. Console, duplicate, configure, UDP. I do not need it. Let's remove it. No need of it. Just directly connected to a switch. Okay. All right. So this is our topology, and we have PC1 and PC2 here. You can name it as something different if you want. Suppose this is host A or host A, and this is host B. This is switch 1, this is router 1, this is switch 2, which is basically a public one. And network over here is suppose 10.0.0.0 oblique 24. And here it is a public network, and it is 155, or you can say 155.4.12.0 oblique 24. And IP address for this interface is 155.4.12.1. We can move it from here to here. This is public network, and here we can have an IP address. So first of all, let me add some notes here. So this is DynamicNAT. Okay.
Okay.
It's host B, and that's it. Host A and host B. Now I'll go to start all devices here, all nodes. It's going to start all the devices. And starting from here, I right click here. I'm going to configure the IP address. So the IP address of this will be, let me add the IP address very quickly. So if it's 12.1 here, I can say 155.4.12.2 here, right? And in here also, if it's suppose 10.0.0.1 here, so then it's going to be 10.0.0.2 here, and it's going to be 10.0.0.3 here. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go ahead and start the configuration part. Right click here and console on PC3. Open the console. Here we go, and our PC3 is here. I will add IP. So what's the IP? I know I told you how to add the IP address. So this is just IP command 155.4.12.2 with the subnet mask 255.255.255.0, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, gateway also, we forgot that. So gateway is 155.4.12.1, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Hit enter, and it's gonna align it. So you can say IP config, if config, or show IP. Sorry, show IP. You will see the IP address is this with 24. Gateway is this. L port and our host port is here. That's it. We are done with this, and then go to router here. We'll open the console. So router 1 is here. I'm going to start opening console to every device, so that will be very easy for me because it opens all the devices. So let's assign the IP of host A, which is 10.0.0.2 with the subnet mask 255.255.255.0 with the gateway. It's 10.0.0.1. That's it. We are done with it. We'll go to host B. We'll say IP 10.0.0.3 with the subnet mask 255.255.255.0. Gateway is 10.0.0.1. Hit enter. Host B is configured with the IP address, and then go to the router, which is the final one. I'll take it in the right. This is the problem that I'm getting here every time. I'm not able to move it. Okay, you can hit enter here by clicking. All right, so we'll go to configure terminal mode and interface. What's the interface? Yep, so interface is FA here, so it's here. So interface is first of all fast Ethernet. I'm on router R1. Interface fast Ethernet, or you can say FA 0/0 IP address is 10.0.0.1 with the subnet mask 255.255.255.0. That's it. No shet. It's very important to. Then we have to exit from here. Interface, we need to assign the public IP to fast Ethernet F 0/1, and its IP address public IP 155.4.12.1 That's it, with the subnet mask 255.255.255.0. So the IP address which we have added here, which is IP address 12.1. So we have to assign the pool from the same range. So it should include this particular IP address. We will hit enter, no shit. That's it. And we are done with it. All right, so you can say right here, exit, right here, building the configuration. PC3, write, save. Here we have to add save command to save everything. Here also we need to add save command to save the running configuration to start up save command. And we are on router R1 where we have to do each and everything. So first of all, to configure the router IP address have been configured. First, we need to configure the router's inside address according to the points that I have told you. Configure the router's inside interface using IPNAT inside. So what is the inside interface? This is the inside interface, which is fast Ethernet 0/0, right? So we will go to configure terminal again, interface FA fastest Ethernet 0/0. This is the router's inside interface because our local area network is inside. So I will write the command IPNAT inside. That's it, and hit enter. So line protocol and interface, there's changed its states to up. And now I will take an exit from here. Next thing is we need to configure routers outside interface using IPNAT outside. So what is the outside interface? Outside is this, which is interface fast Ethernet 0/1, right?
Yes.
So what's the command? Instead of outside, we have to say NAT IPNAT. Instead of inside, we have to say IPNAT outside and hit enter. We are done with the first two steps, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Next, if you can go through the steps, I have told you we need to configure the ACL that has list of the inside source IP addresses that will be translated. That means the local area network list. So we have the network of 10.0.0/24, right? So we'll take an exit. We are in the global configuration mode. We'll say access list number 1 permit. We need to permit 10.0.0. If you want one particular IP address, that means 1. But if you want the entire, it's 10.0.0.0. Then the subnet mask, which is 255.255.255.0, right? IP access list first permit 10.0.0.0 network with the subnet mask 255.255.255.0. Done. So the access list configured matches the entire. It's not only if it's a specific like 10.2 only, then you need to write 10.2. But I am basically about to translate the NAT or dynamic NAT pool for all the, I'm giving a pool to all these IP addresses. Suppose there are 252 hosts in this local area network. So I am accessing all of them. I'm giving them the permission that router should allow them. Now, what should the router allow them? That's a pool that I'm going to create next. So now what we need to do is we need to configure the pool of global IP addresses. So how do we do that? IPNAT. All right, then pool. And I'm going to name it as, for example, this is my botnet pool. You can say BOT and BOT botnet, and I can name it as botnet pool or simply botnet. All right, make it more specific or name it as, do not make it bigger so that it will be easy for you to write because we need to match it. Right now, this is the fifth step, IPNAT pool botnet. What is the pool? As we have already 155.4.12.1 as an interface here. So what we are going to do is the pool should be 155.4.12.1. It should be starting from this particular IP address and it should end 4. How many IP address ranges you want to give? 12. For example, 3 is already there. What's the IP address which is assigned? 2 is assigned, right?
Yes.
3, 4, I can say 12.10. What happened to this now? 12.10. So IPNAT poolNAT is botnet 155.4.12.1 up to 155.4.12.10 with the net mask. What is the net mask? 255.255.255.0. Hit enter. You can see pool botnet mask is too small. Should be at least what? At least 255.248.0.0 and address less than start address. What do you mean by it?
I mean, we have 155.4.12.1 and then we have 155.2.12.
Oh, that's the problem. It should be 4.12. Hit enter, that's it. Because it's in the range. So up to here, then it's a network port. It should not be changed. All right, so it's 12.10. So we're getting almost about 10 IP address ranges of public, and they should be having this subnet mask. And now we are done. So the pool above consists of how many global IP addresses? 1, 2, 3, 4, about 10, all right? And lastly, we have to match the access list with the pool, because in the access list, we have said that permit this. It will permit this address to this particular global addresses. That's the translation. So we can say IPNAT inside source list. What's the source list? Pool source list number 1, sorry. And the pool name, because what's this number list? Because I have created access list 1. That means IPNAT inside source list 1 pool. What's the pool name? It's botnet, right?
Yes.
So that's IPNAT inside. Please give permission to inside network. Source list is 1. That means access list is 1. Inside access list, we have this network, and match them or translate them with these pool of IP. In the pool, we have these IP address, and the pool name is botnet, and that's it. Hit enter. That's it. And the command above will tell the router to translate all the addresses specified in the access list first to the pool of global addresses, name it botnet. So you can list all network translation, as I've told you in my previous class, using show IPNAT translations command. All right, we'll check it out, but we'll just exit from here, write the configuration, and we can check show IP root first of all. All right, and then let's try to ping from host A to PC3. So ping the PC3 network is, what's the PC3 network? Here is it. So it's PC3 here, host A is here. So ping 155.4.12.2. You can see pinging requests are coming out. At the same time, host B will try to ping on the same 155.4.12.2. You can see from 155.4.12, the requests are coming. What will happen when you ping the host A from PC3? Do you think this IP address will be same? You ping to 10.0.0, see what's gonna come. If the NAT will be working well, it should change. There should be a different thing coming in. So PC3, I'll try to ping 10.0.0.2. It's gonna give the same thing. Let's see the translations. Because within this, they are directly connected networks. That's why it's going like that. 10.0.0.3. We'll go to router A and now check show IP NAT translations. Nothing is there.